Kazakh food is some of the most unique and exotic in the entire world. I mean, we're talking horse meat, we're talking camel milk, we're talking sheep's head, and that's just what's on top of the list. Some of it was surprisingly good, and some of it was, not so good. But one thing is for sure, I absolutely managed to totally embarrass myself somewhere along the way. I'll explain everything, I promise. My name is Josh, and I'm a digital nomad who lives in a different country every single month. Join me as I try the most iconic dishes of Kazakhstan by way of its most famous and most populated city, Almaty. Horses are beautiful and majestic creatures. We ride them, we watch emotional movies about them, we race them, and many cultures around the world don't really eat them. But that is not the case in Kazakhstan. The Kazakh people historically were very nomadic, and horses in general are actually a huge part of their tradition and culture. And while I might personally not be jumping up and down to add horse meat into my regular food rotation, I did want to make a point to taste it while I was in Kazakhstan, and I actually had the chance to do so twice. The first time was in a beautiful and traditional restaurant in Almaty known as SANDYQ. SANDYQ is sort of an icon in this city. It's gorgeous both inside and out, and it's a super elevated experience from start to finish. The staff are on it, they're friendly, they're eager to share different aspects of Kazakh history with you, and local bands actually even put on traditional music and dance performances here at various times throughout the week. My visit was too early in the day to see a live performance, unfortunately, but it wasn't too early to order some food, and I knew exactly what I was here for. I ordered the horse meat kordak, which is pretty simple, really. It's pretty much just seasoned horse meat with a couple potatoes and onions on the side. After a few moments of waiting, it arrived from out of the kitchen, and I took my first bite, and honestly, I kid you not, I had to ask the waiter if he brought me the right thing, because this tasted absolutely exactly like beef. But no, it actually isn't. It is horse. I honestly couldn't tell the difference. I was so satisfied that I would go on to order horse a second time during my stay in Kazakhstan. But for a couple different reasons, the second time would not go quite as smoothly. Okay, so the national dish of Kazakhstan is not horse. That might be surprising given the way I've started this video, but no, it's actually something a little more accessible and familiar to people in many other parts of the world. And that's because it's a noodle dish, okay? I love this for Kazakhstan. Italy, you better watch out. The national dish is called Beshbarmak, and for this, I visited another very famous restaurant in Almaty known as NAVAT. NAVAT is actually a chain with locations all across Central Asia. But let me tell you that I was recommended to visit this restaurant while in Almaty no less than 5 times. And well, I did just that. And I sort of, I made a fool of myself. Yeah, allow me to explain. Everything started off well for me. I decided to order a starter of borzak, which are these little fried dough pouches. They're super famous in Kazakhstan, and they're kind of like donuts almost, except lighter and puffy. And wouldn't you know it, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that a small order of them was actually included with my meal. Love that. I mean, I love bread. I love fried food. So yeah, these were amazing. And if that wasn't enough, a small shot of camel milk was included for free as well. Yes, I did just say camel milk. Yeah, this ain't it. Yeah, I'm very sorry, but camel milk to me just tastes like sour milk. I can't pretend like I enjoyed this. It was rough. But I respect the culture, so I'm glad I tried it. But never again. And then, finally, from out of the kitchen came my Beshbarmak. It looked amazing. I love noodles. I actually even ordered mine with some horse meat on top, because why the hell not? But I had a problem. There were no utensils on the table. No fork, no knife, no chopsticks. It was a conundrum. Now, I know enough about the world to know that there are several cultures in which eating food with your right hand is the norm. And, you know, I didn't want to insult the traditional nature of the restaurant, and so I pulled out my phone and searched, do you eat Beshbarmak with your hands in Kazakhstan? And it came back with a pretty straightforward answer. Effectively, yes. In fact, the word Beshbarmak actually means 5 fingers. It couldn't be more apparent. I was not supposed to use silverware. And so, I didn't. I just dug in. I went to town. I grabbed up a lump of noodles and started figuring out a way to just get it into my mouth. But I am nothing if not committed to the tradition and the culture. And you know what? It was delicious. And let me tell you, I had gotten through probably at least half of the dish when finally, out of nowhere, a server appeared and very discreetly just slipped me a set of silverware, while also kind of just looking very embarrassed for me, sort of as if to say, "Oh, honey, oh no, I died, okay? I immediately did. I have gone and I have made a fool of myself." The server saw me eating with my hands and I guess decided that I needed some help. I was so embarrassed. When I tell you, I gobbled down the rest of my food and I paid and I dipped out of there as fast as I could. Yeah, nightmare fuel. I was ready to hop on a flight and escape from Kazakhstan at that very moment. But don't worry, I didn't. I pulled it together because I had more to see. However, it's a bit ironic, perhaps, that the next meal I ate, I also ended up eating with my hands. It was a few days later and I had again worked up an appetite after exploring Almaty. So I had spent some time in Central Park and walked several kilometers and finally felt brave enough to show my face in another restaurant in town. This time I took a simple yet effective approach. I asked my cab driver where his favorite place in the city to eat was. I told him that I would go wherever he liked to eat and order his favorite meal. And I was surprised by what he said because his favorite restaurant was a burger shop called KETCHUP. He specifically really loves the Tabasco burger at KETCHUP, and that was music to my ears, because, I know how to eat a burger, okay? And I love spicy food. This is an American meal through and through, and for this, okay, I was prepared. I went in and I ordered the burger, and you know what? I will say it lived up to the hype. Honestly, if it didn't, I wouldn't even be mentioning it in this video at all. But no, truly, this is a really solid burger. Tabasco flavor is great on a burger. I mean, we should all be doing this way more often. The potato wedges on the side were really crisp and really nicely salted. I even got some barbecue sauce for on the side, which if you know me, you know is my very favorite thing. All in all, it was a great recommendation, and I proudly ate the whole thing with my bare hands. My confidence was through the roof. I dare someone to slip me a set of silverware right now. See if I care. Actually, I would have cared a lot. If that happened, I would have died right there on the spot, I think. All jokes and cringe aside, Almaty is actually a super interesting city for food. It's modern with tons of restaurants featuring every type of international cuisine, including burgers like the one that I had at KETCHUP, and even adorable baked goods that look like characters from Studio Ghibli, like the ones that I had at a little place called Lua Pastry Studio. But at the same time, Almaty has kept so much of the tradition of the nomadic Kazakh people. You can experience it in high-end restaurants like SANDYQ or NAVAT, or you can dive into the food culture for yourself by visiting places like the Green Bazaar and buying some local ingredients or baked goods to try on your own. Making cultural mistakes in other countries is definitely super embarrassing. I've done it more times than I care to admit, especially when it comes to food. But as long as your heart is in the right place and you're sincerely making an effort to try your best to respect and accommodate other cultures, in my experience, everyone around the globe has been so friendly and helpful and super understanding. It's not about getting it right 100% of the time. It's about making an effort to try and understand and acclimate to cultures that are different from your own. Every time we do that, we're making the world a more understanding, more open, and more beautiful place. And you are beautiful for staying all the way until the end. I love you so much. In case you missed it, I actually made another video about Kazakhstan and why I think it is going to be a major travel destination in just 5 years. Click the screen to watch that one next.